Let's bring in the chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, Republican Senator John Thune of South Dakota. First, John, good morning. Why don't you respond to Harry Reid?
Good morning, Joe. Well, look, if you look at what the Senate's done in the first 7 months of this year, we passed trade promotion authority. We passed a major education reform bill here a couple of weeks ago. We just passed a multi-year highway bill, moved some Medicare reforms, passed a budget for the first time in a number of years. And the Appropriations Committee, for the first time in 6 years, has reported out all 12 appropriation bills. So it's been a very busy and productive time. The Democrats, on the other hand, have indicated that they're going to block all those appropriation bills and try and create a big spending fight coming up in the fall. So the Republicans have been moving forward with an agenda here in the Senate. We think we've been productive. We think we've put up a record of accomplishment that's good for the American people, and those are the things we're going to continue to stay focused on.
Senator, you know, I don't think it matters whether you're driving through Yankton, South Dakota, or Worcester, Massachusetts, or wherever, but this country is falling apart. Bridges and roads crumbling and everything like that. Tom Friedman raises an interesting issue in today's New York Times. The last time the gas tax was raised to support the Federal Highway Fund was 1993. Gasoline prices have come down enormously in the last 2 years. Is there any chance, would you support a nickel increase in the federal gas tax in order to rebuild parts of America?
Well, I don't think we're going to have that option this time around, Mike. There is no appetite in the House or the Senate for a fuel tax increase. We do have to confront the issue of building infrastructure in this country, and that's something that I think there ought to be widespread agreement on among both Democrats and Republicans. And in fact, the vote last week in the Senate, we got 65 votes for a multi-year highway bill funded without a fuel tax increase, and now it's up to the House of Representatives to move their bill. But we can get the things done that we need to do for the good of this country, and we can do a multi-year bill without a gas tax increase. And I just don't think there's any political appetite at the time for doing that.
How is it funded without a gas tax increase? What's the funding
Well, we found
source?
other pay-fors, other offsets, looked for reductions in spending elsewhere in the budget, and came up with a series of things that provided the necessary funding in addition to what comes in through the gas tax into the Highway Trust Fund, which has been falling short. And obviously, as you said, it's been 1993 since that issue's been addressed, and that's going to be an issue that is going to have to be dealt with at some point in the future. But we can do a multi-year bill today without a gas tax increase, and we ought to move forward with it.
Senator Thune, it's Willie Geist. Good to see you this morning. There'll be a big Republican debate, a couple of them actually, tomorrow night in Cleveland, where 16 candidates from your party will get together. I wonder what your reaction has been as you've watched all this unfold, as each poll shows Donald Trump's lead growing, where he's about doubling everybody nationally in polls and winning almost every major state. What's your reaction to the rise of Donald Trump in your party?
It's been pretty remarkable, Willie, to watch. You know, Donald Trump is the anti-politician, and I think that's, you know, right now he's a magnet for people across this country who are looking for somebody who is talking about ending politics as usual in Washington, D.C. Whether he can sustain that or not remains to be seen, but more power to him. It's a free country. We've got a lot of people who are going to be running, but remember, this is the first quarter in what's going to be a very long game. And so there'll be a lot of hands to be played. Tomorrow night will be an interesting opportunity for all those candidates to get heard for the first time, at least in that sort of a setting, and we'll see how they perform and how the race shapes up. But ultimately, I think that what's going to decide this, Willie, is it's going to come down to issues and positions and vision for the future of the country. And Donald Trump, like all the other candidates, is going to have to answer hard questions and you know, have to be subject to a whole lot of scrutiny by people around this country who want to know what that vision for the future is.
If these leads hold, Senator, would you be comfortable with Donald Trump as the nominee for president in your party?
Well, if he's the choice of Republicans around the country, absolutely. I mean, we will work hard to try and elect a Republican president, and I think that he is, at least at the moment, performing quite well. But like I said, it's going to be a long campaign, a long race, and we'll see where the campaign goes, how the candidates perform over time. And you have to remember, I mean, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And obviously, these candidates are going to have lots of opportunities to try and impress and get their point across to the American people and try and win their vote.
Kristen.
Senator Thune, the Republicans took back the Senate after the 2014 elections. They control the House. Legislation is finally moving again, and it seems like we're back in the governing business. But without the White House, it can be kind of hard to get everything done that maybe congressional Republicans want to. What are some things that you think are bills that are coming up that you all will be able to get through the House, get through the Senate, and that the president will be able to sign?
You know, Kristen, I think there are a handful of things. I mentioned a couple. We moved a multi-year highway bill. We've moved an education reform bill. Both of those have to be reconciled with versions that will come through the House. We're trying to get a cybersecurity bill across the Senate floor right now. It will have an important vote on that this morning on whether or not we'll be able to proceed to that. Those are three bills right there that I think if we could get them through Congress and put them on the president's desk, that he should sign into law. Whether he does or not remains to be seen. But I think those are all things that have broad bipartisan support. Obviously, you know, there are other things that we'll look at as we head into the fall in my committee that we work on, FAA reauthorization, a few other things. But I hope that we can actually get some things done for the good of the country. We know that the 16 campaigns are going to get underway here pretty soon, and that'll start sucking all the oxygen out of the atmosphere here in Washington. But I think that to the degree that we can, we need to be moving that agenda forward. And so far this year in the United States Senate, we have been. We've had, I think, 70 bills passed the Senate. 30 of them, more than 30 of them have been signed into law by the president. We hope that there are more to come.